2a. Do you remember? Dot. Dot. Question mark. Happiness is good health and a bad memory. Ingrid Bergman, Swedish actress. G. The past. Habitual events and specific incidents. V. Word building. Abstract nouns. P. Word stress with suffixes. 1. Reading. Or imagine that you were going to write your autobiography. What periods or specific incidents from your childhood would you definitely include? Roald Dahl Boy. Illustrated by Quentin Blake. B. Read part 1 of an extract from Boy, the autobiography of author Roald Dahl. Answer the questions with a partner. 1. Why did the chocolate bars have numbers stamped underneath them? 2. What do you think was the point of the control bar? 3. What exactly did the boys have to do? 4. Why was it clever of Cadbury's to use the boys? 5. How did the boys behave when they were sampling the products? See, now do the same for part 2. 1. How did Roald Dahl imagine the inventing room to be? 2. What did he imagine himself doing in his recurring dream? 3. How did he imagine Mr. Cadbury reacting to his invention? 4. How did the testing of the chocolate bars influence Dahl in his later life? Part 1. This, believe it or not, very now and again, a plain grey cardboard box was dished. A present from the great chocolate manufacturers, Cadbury. Inside the box there were 12 bars of chocolate, all of different shapes, all with different fillings, and all with numbers from 1 to 12 stamped on the chocolate underneath. 11 of these bars were new inventions from the factory. The 12th was the control bar, one that we all knew well, usually a Cadbury's coffee cream bar. Also in the box was a sheet of paper with the numbers 1 to 12 on it, as well as 2 blank columns, one for giving marks to each chocolate from 0 to 10, and the other for comments. All we were required to do in return for this splendid gift was to taste very carefully each bar of chocolate, give it marks, and make an intelligent comment on why we liked or disliked it. It was a clever stunt. Cadbury's were using some of the greatest chocolate bar experts in the world to test all your favorite flavors out their new inventions. We were of a sensible age, between 13 and 18, and we knew intimately every chocolate bar in existence, from the milk flake to the lemon marshmallow. Quite obviously our opinions on anything new would be valuable. All of us entered into this game with great gusto, sitting in our studies and nibbling each bar with the air of connoisseurs, giving our marks and making our comments. Too subtle for the common palate was one note that I remember writing down. And you get them for only 4D. A quarter. Why everybody everywhere is buying Cadbury-filled blocks. You get value for your money when you buy Cadbury's filled blocks. You choose your favorite flavor and you go that for and no WHER. Every 44. Cadbury's filled block is 12 decalates made and packed all her. That's why it's Cadbury's. Less to make them. That's why you can get them for only 46. Cadbury's 4. Filled blocks. D2.1 Language in context. Roald Dahl achieves a more dramatic effect in part 2 through his choice of language. Look at the dramatic verbs and listen to part 2 as an extract from an audiobook. Match the verbs to their synonyms 1 to 7. Picture bubbling away, concocting, grab, rushing, leap, slap. 1 leap, 4 bubbling away, boiling continuously equals jump. 2 grab equals take quickly in one's hand. 5 rushing. 3 concocting equals creating by mixing together. 6 slap. 7 equals imagine. Picture equals running quickly equals hit with the hand. Abridged from Boy by Roald Dahl. 4. Part 2. Or me, the importance of all this was that I began to realize that the large chocolate companies actually did possess inventing rooms and they took their inventing very seriously. I used to picture a long white room like a laboratory with pots of chocolate and fudge and all sorts of other delicious fillings bubbling away on the stoves, while men and women in white coats moved between the bubbling pots, tasting and mixing and concocting their wonderful new inventions. I used to imagine myself working in one of these labs, and suddenly I would come up with something so unbearably delicious that I would grab it in my hand and go rushing out of the lab and along the corridor and right into the offices of the great Mr. Cadbury himself. "I've got it, sir," I would shout, putting the chocolate in front of him. "It's fantastic. It's fabulous. It's marvelous. It's irresistible." Single quote. Slowly, the great man would pick up my newly invented chocolate and he would take a small bite. He would roll it round his mouth. Then all at once, he would leap up from his chair, crying, "You've got it. You've done it. It's a miracle." He would slap me on the back and shout, "We'll sell it by the million. We'll sweep the world with this one. How on earth did you do it? Your salary is doubled." Single quote. It was lovely dreaming those dreams. And I have no doubt at all that 35 years later, when I was looking for a plot for my second book for children, I remembered those little cardboard boxes and the newly invented chocolates inside them, and I began to write a book called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. 0. Roald Dahl. Charlie and Chocolate. The Factory. Illustrated by Quentin Blake. Glossary. Fudge, FD3, a type of soft, brown sweet made from sugar, butter, and milk. What kind of child do you get the impression that Roald Dahl was? When you were a child, what did you use to dream of doing? 2. Grammar: the past. Habitual events and specific incidents. A look at the highlighted verbs in part 2 of the extract from Boy. Which ones describe? ... Question mark. 1. Specific incidents in the past. 2. Repeated or habitual actions in the past. B. What other verb forms do we use in these contexts? CGP.144 Grammar Bank 2a. 3. Speaking. A. 2.2 Listen to 6 people starting to tell a story about their childhood. What different expressions do they use to say approximately how old they were at the time? B. With a partner, choose 2 of the topics below and talk about things you habitually did or felt in your childhood. When I was little, I used to be terrified of the dark, and I'd always sleep with the light on. ... Things I used to be afraid of. My primary school. Places we would go to for family holidays. Food and drink I used to love. Or hate. Christmas or a special celebration. Being ill. Toys and games I used to love. Birthdays. Nightmares I used to have. See, now take turns to choose one of the topics and talk about a specific incident from your childhood. Opening parenthesis. I remember the time when we went on our first family holiday abroad. ... 4. Writing. WP.118 Writing an article. Analyze an article about how children's lives have changed over the last 50 years, and write an article. 5. Listening and speaking. A. 2.3 Listen to part 1 of a radio program about early childhood memories. Answer the questions for each speaker 1 to 3. How old was he, she? What event was his, her memory of? What emotion, S, did he, she feel? B. Look at some questions you're going to hear in part 2 of the program, an interview about research on first memories. Discuss them with a partner. 1. At what age do first memories generally occur? 2. Why can't we remember things before that age? 3. What are first memories normally about? 4. Why might some people's first memories be unreliable? C. 2.4 Now listen to part 2 and check your answers to B. Do you think the memories in are reliable? Why? D. Listen again. Why does the presenter mention these things? 1. Being in a pram or cot. 2. Seeing yourself in a mirror. 3. Using the past tense. 4. Fear and self-preservation. 5. Smells and sounds. 6. Your first word. In part 3 of the program, you're going to listen to the first memory of Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. Look at some words from the story. With a partner, try to predict what happened. Nanny. Baby pram kidnap. Pram policeman. Champs-Élysées reward runaway fighter watch. 6. Vocabulary and pronunciation. Word building. Abstract nouns. Word stress with suffixes. Abstract nouns. An abstract noun is one that is used to express an idea, a concept, an experience, or a quality, rather than an object, e.g. childhood and fear are abstract nouns, whereas a pram and a watch aren't. Abstract nouns are formed 1. By adding a suffix to nouns, adjectives, or verbs, e.g. child, childhood. Commonly, black circle nouns can add hood or ship. Adjectives can add ity, ness, or dom. Black circle verbs can add tien or meant. 2. With a new word, e.g. afraid, fear. Make abstract nouns by adding a suffix to the words below and making any other changes necessary, and write them in the correct column. Achieve adult amaze, aware, bored, celebrate, curious, disappoint, excite, free, friend, frustrate, generous, happy, ill, imagine, improve, kind, member, neighbor, partner, possible, relation, sad, tempt, wise. 1. Noun plus hood. 2. Noun plus ship. 3. Adjective plus ity. 4. Adjective plus ness. 5. Adjective plus dom. 6. Verb plus tien. 7. Verb plus meant. F. 2.5. Now listen to part 3. Was your prediction correct? What happened many years later? G. Tell a partner about your earliest memory. Answer the 3 questions in or about you. Having listened to the program, how reliable do you think your first memory is? B. 2.6. Listen and check. 2.7. Underline the stressed syllable in these words. Listen and check. Which 2 endings often cause a change in stress? 1. Adult. 2. Relation. 3. Free. 4. Curious. 5. Happy. 6. Celebrate. 7. Disappoint. Adulthood, relationship, freedom, curiosity, happiness, celebration. Disappointment. D. Now look at the abstract nouns and complete the adjective and verb columns. Adjective. 7. Speaking. A 2.9. Listen to someone describing a childhood memory. What is it about? What feelings does the speaker mention and why did he feel that way? B. Look at the feelings and events below. Choose 1 feeling and 1 event and prepare to talk about a childhood memory. Write the keywords you'll need. Happiness. Disappointment. Excitement. Sadness. Abstract noun. 1. Anger. Angry. 2. Shame. 3. Death. 4. Danger. Abstract noun. Verb. 5. Belief. 6. Hatred. 7. Loss. 8. Memory. 2.8. Listen and check. Then cover the abstract nouns and try to remember them. Collocations. Noticing and recording words that go together, e.g. a remote possibility, not a distant possibility, will improve the accuracy and fluency of your speaking and writing. F. Complete the bold phrases with an abstract noun from A or D which collocates in the phrase. 1. I'm writing to express my sympathy for your terrible, to us all, ... 2. To my complete first prize. John's death was a shock. I realized I'd won. Amazement. Feelings. Embarrassment. Shock. Frustration. Pain. A festival or celebration. The death of a pet. A day out. Managing to do something for the first time. Events. The birth of a brother or sister. Moving house. Getting a wonderful or disappointing. Winning or losing something. Present. 3. I've been seeing my girlfriend for about 6 months now. It's quite a serious. 4. There's a strong that I'll be offered the manager's job in the next few weeks. 5. I could smell gas in my kitchen, but the plumber decided there was no immediate. 6. When I heard I'd failed the exam, it was a huge. I'd been expecting to pass. 7. Contrary to popular for many children, school days are not the happiest of times. 8. My eldest daughter has a very vivid. I think she'll end up becoming a writer. Talking about memories. When we're talking about a memory of the past, we use remember, forget. SB or south. Plus verb plus ing. I remember arriving, and it was dark. Dot. Dot. I can remember feeling quite annoyed. Dot. Dot. I'll never forget my mother shouting at me. Dot. Dot. See, in small groups, tell each other about your memories. Try to use expressions from the information box, and say exactly how you felt and why. The feeling I'm going to talk about is embarrassment. I think I was about 5 and it was my first year at primary school. I remember. Dot. Dot. To be. A synonym is a word you use when you can't spell the first word you thought of. Burt Bacharach, US musician. On the tip of my tongue. G pronouns v lexical areas P sound spelling relationships. 1 reading and speaking. A 2.10 recent Oxford Dictionaries survey identified some of the most commonly misspelled English words. Listen and write the missing words. How many did you spell correctly? Why do you think the words are often misspelled? 250 guests. 1 the hotel can. 2. 3 we. 4 I won't leave. Do you prefer coffee or tea? 5 something unexpected. 7 the. A very warm welcome. She gets here. On their journey. Occasions. 6 I saw her on 3. Is planning to raise taxes. Be there by 7:00. 8 wheel. B how much do you know about the English language? Answer the questions with a partner. 1 what 2 other languages have had the strongest influence on English? 2 how many letters are there in the English alphabet? 3 how many different sounds are there in English? 4 which has changed more over the years, English pronunciation or English spelling? 5 do children in English-speaking countries learn to read more quickly or more slowly than children elsewhere? The English Spelling Society. Improving English spelling. C. Read the information from the website of the English Spelling Society. Check your answers to B. Then answer the questions. 1 what is the society trying to do? 2 what's the knock-on effect on children's education if it takes them a long time to learn to read and write? 3 what does the website say is the best way to teach children to read and write in English? 4 what effect does low literacy have on adult offenders? D. Look at a quote from Masha Bell, of the English Spelling Society. Underline all the examples of simplified spelling. Do you find it easy to read? If you have a poor memory, your chances of becoming a good speller are low. But worse still, your chances of learning to read are not good either, because of nonsense like cow crow, dream dreamt, friend fiend, and hundreds more like them. E. Do you agree that English spelling should be simplified? Do you think the English Spelling Society could ever succeed in its aim? Why not? Question mark. English spelling is broken. Let's fix it. English spelling is broken. There are countless examples, such as comb, bomb, and tomb, or height and weight. The English Spelling Society exists to repair our broken spelling. The Society is working on a way to simplify current English spelling in order to improve access to literacy. Why English spelling is exceptionally irregular. English as a language is relatively simple to learn. But its spelling system is possibly the most irregular of those based on an alphabet. Not only is it hard to predict the spelling from the pronunciation, but it is not always possible to predict the pronunciation from the spelling, for example, thorough. English words derive mainly from Old German and Norman French, and its alphabet of 26 letters makes it impossible to represent each of its 46 speech sounds with just one symbol. But that is not the only reason why many English spellings are irregular. In other languages, as pronunciation changed, the spelling changed too. However, in spite of the many ways in which English pronunciation has evolved over the centuries, words have often maintained their original spelling, which reflects the original pronunciation, but not how many words are pronounced today. For example, blood, blad, used to be pronounced to rhyme with good, good. The economic and social costs of English spelling. Black circle children in English-speaking countries take almost twice as long to learn to read and write compared to children in other countries. A longer time needed for learning to read and write means less time for other subjects. There has been much expensive research into how to teach reading and writing in Anglophone countries. But there is no standard method, and much disagreement, about how best to teach English literacy. Black circle education is the proven best way to prevent criminals from reoffending. In countries where the literacy rates of prisoners are generally higher, improving their education while behind bars is also much easier. The poor literacy skills of many English-speaking offenders make this more difficult, and repeated returns to jail more likely. 2. Pronunciation sound spelling relationships. Learning spelling rules or patterns. The English Spelling Society would like to simplify spelling by removing all the irregularities. However, estimates suggest that around 80% of English words are pronounced according to a rule or pattern, e.g. the letter H before a vowel is almost always pronounced H. Or with a partner, say each group of words aloud. How are the pink letters pronounced? Circle the different word in each group if there is one. 1 per hour. Dishonest. Heart. 5. D3. Enjoy. 9/3. Slash. Reporter work world. 4. Listening. Understanding accents. Many English words can be pronounced in different ways, depending on where you come from. For example, herb is pronounced HZ. B in British English, but 3. RB in American English. Bath is pronounced bar in Northern England, but bar. 0 in Standard English or RP. Received pronunciation. RP is the accent used in dictionaries to indicate the pronunciation of a word. Listening to speakers with different accents will make a huge difference to your ability to communicate with English speakers. 3. 4. Jealous. Herb. Job. Himself. Journalist. Worse. Inherit. Reject. Worth. Mary. Diarmid. Laura. Jerry. 2. W. 6. TS. 10/3. Slash. Allow. Achieve. Birth. 5. 6. 7. 8. Borrow. Catch. Dirty. Elbow. Challenging. Firm. Overthrow. Charge. 3rd. Shallow. Chorus. T-shirt. 3. 7 ISL. Compromise. Despite. Quite. River. Right. Seam. Sense. Sure. Sympathetic synonym. Andrea. Anita. Lily. Paul. A. 4. With. 8. Slash. Whenever. Where. Which. Awful drawback. Law. Whose. Why. Raw. Yawn. 2.13 Listen to 8 people talking about where they're from. Answer the questions. 1. Which person, 1 to 8, do you think speaks with RP? 2. Which 2 people do you think don't speak English as a first language? 3. Can you match any of the accents to the countries from the list? B2.11 Listen and check. What's the pronunciation rule for each group? Can you think of any more exceptions? C. Look at the spelling patterns in A. Now decide how you think the words from the list below are pronounced. Check their pronunciation and meaning with your teacher or with a dictionary. Chime Hal Jaw Whirl Worm. 3 grammar pronouns. A 2.12 Listen and write 3 sentences. Which 3 words are pronounced exactly the same but spelled differently? BP.145 Grammar Bank 2B. B. Australia, Scotland. England. RP. South Africa. Ireland, Spain. Lithuania, the USA. 2.14 Listen and check which countries the people are from. Who describes the place they're from as? Question mark. B. A city well known for both its university and its industry, a very multicultural city with fantastic facilities and beaches. C. A village on the coast, friendly but a bit inward-looking. D. A city of economic and cultural importance with several universities. E. A small and welcoming country town. F. A city with a big student and tourist population, where there is always something going on. G. H. C. A city with beautiful old buildings and a mountain nearby, an area where you can enjoy both nature and shopping. Which people did you find easiest to understand? Was it because of their accent, or for some other reason? 22. 5 vocabulary lexical areas. A look at headings 1 to 4 in word challenge. With a partner, say what they mean. Word challenge. 1 collocations. Circle the correct word. Be in pairs, do the exercises in word challenge. All the answers have come up in lessons 1A, 1B, and 2A. How many did you get right? Hard work. 2. Awful, terrible. Pick up a language. 1. After her marriage broke up, she looked for, sought refuge with friends. 2. To our full, complete amazement, our daughter passed all her exams. 3. My grandfather has quite a fast, quick temper. 4. I spent a couple of hours yesterday looking through old photos. 5. We've got distant, far relatives in Australia. 6. I don't think going freelance is a very good job, career move. On the tip of my tongue. 3. Synonyms and register match words or phrases 1 to 10 to synonyms AJ. Which word is more formal in each pair? 1. Ill-fated. A job. 2. Brothers and sisters. B. Benefit. 3. Conversation. C. Resign. 4. Task. 7. I'm sorry if I hurt, damaged your feelings. 5. Perk. 8. I haven't really planned my trip yet, but I have an approximate, a rough itinerary. 6. Against. 7. Quit. D. Siblings. E. Guy. F. Look like. G. Unfortunate. 9. We are strongly, highly opposed to the. 8. Man. H. Require. Government's new policy. 9. Resemble. I chat. 10. 10. Need. J. Opposed to. 10. 4. Idioms. 1. I told a WH. 1. Because. The waiters. 10. I'm not very good in a crisis. I hate being under, below pressure. 2. Phrasal verbs. Complete the sentences with a verb from the list in the correct form. Carry. X2. Come dress get go lay make put turn. 1. Look out for the Picasso drawings when you round the exhibition. 2. We should off the meeting till next week. 3. She was really ill and it took her a long time to. 4. She finally. Over it. To the problem. 5. Don't stop. 6. He often. Up with a brilliant solution. On with what you're doing. Up excuses for why he's late. 7. The children love. Grandparents' clothes. Up in there. 8. The book sounded fascinating, but it. To be really dull. 9. 1,000 workers were. Factory closed. 10. He's completely useless. He can't even. Out simple instructions. Complete the idioms. I didn't want to upset him. 2. We tried to see. E. But he just ignored us. 3. I woke up suddenly in the D. N. 4. He's a really nice guy, very D. E. Of. There was a noise downstairs. 2. In the. Could you spend? 5. This printer is such a P. N. Underscore. It never works. On $2,000 on a watch. 6H. 7. I followed the instructions to the 1. But I still couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work. 8. Let's not focus on the details. We need to see the B. 9. Jack's got his N. P. Revising for his exams. Out. Off when the. 10. I've got a G. 10. To the GR. F. That. 10. This meeting is going to go badly. 6. Reading. Read some extracts from an article about words which have changed their meaning. Which words do you think changed their meaning the most? A blockbuster was originally a bomb. A blockbuster is literally a bomb large enough to destroy an entire block of buildings. The first blockbuster was dropped on the German city of Emden in March 1941. The wartime press was quick to pounce on the nickname, blockbuster, and soon it was being used to describe anything that had an impressive or devastating effect. The military connotations gradually disappeared after the war, leaving us with the word we use today to describe best-selling films and books. A girl originally referred to a girl or a boy. When the word girl first appeared in the language, in the early 1300s, it was used to mean child, regardless of the gender of the child in question. That didn't begin to change until the early 15th century, when the word boy, possibly borrowed from the French emboué, meaning a male servant, began to be used more generally for any young man. As a result, girl was forced to change to mean a female child. Alcohol originally meant eyeshadow. The ancient Egyptians made their distinctive jet black eyeshadow out of the mineral stibnite, which was crushed and heated to produce a fine dust that could then be mixed with animal fat to make a cosmetic. The name of this was al-kohl, from an Arabic word meaning star or paint. Alchemists and scientists of the European Middle Ages then picked up this term from their Arabic origin textbooks and began applying it to all kinds of other substances that could be produced in a similar way, which included wine and spirits, ultimately given the name alcohol. This is now the most common meaning, though you can still buy kohl eyeliner pencils. A cupboard used to mean a table. In the late 1300s, a cupboard was just a board on which to place your cups. Or put another way, a cupboard was originally a table. No one is entirely sure why. But in the early 16th century, that meaning suddenly disappeared from the language. A cupboard was no longer a tabletop on which to use one's crockery, but a piece of furniture in which to store it. A treadmill was originally a prison punishment. The original treadmill was an enormous man-powered mill used for tasks such as crushing rocks and grinding grain. It was a wheel of steps encircling a cylinder attached to a millstone, on which prisoners could be employed for many hours a day. Famously, the writer Oscar Wilde was made to work on the treadmill during his imprisonment in Pentonville Prison in 1895. Prison reform made the treadmill a thing of the past, but the term was resurrected in the 1950s and was applied to a piece of gym equipment, a running machine comprised of a seemingly endless belt. Adapted from The Guardian. B. Read the extracts again. Which word? Question mark. 1 has a modern meaning which refers to the way something is made. 2 has a modern meaning which refers to the same kind of activity. 3 used to refer to two things, but changed to only one. 4 changed its meaning as a result of its use by the media. 5 changed its meaning for an unknown reason. See language in context. Look at the highlighted words in the extracts, which are all used metaphorically. What is their literal meaning? D. Communication changing meanings. AP.107 BP.112 Read about 2 more words that have changed their meaning, then tell your partner. 7. Video listening. You're going to watch a documentary on the history of English. With a partner, try to number the influences on English in chronological order. America. The Anglo-Saxons, British colonies, Christian monks, the French one, the Romans, Shakespeare, technology, the Vikings. B. Watch the documentary once and check. C. Watch again and mark the sentences. T. True. Or F. False. Correct the F sentences. 1. English has been changing for more than 1,000 years. 2. The Anglo-Saxons invented the alphabet. 3. The arrival of the Vikings gave English about 2,000 new words. 4. At first, the Normans didn't introduce many French words. 5. Shakespeare gave English as many new words as the Vikings. 6. In the 20th century, British English borrowed words from American, but not vice versa. 7. Today, more people speak English as a first language than as a second language. D. What have been the main influences on the development of your language? Does it share any with English? 23. 1 and 2 revise and check. Grammar. Complete the sentences with one word. 1. We need to. The broken window fixed soon, before it starts getting cold. 2. The Chinese economy is growing and result, the standard of living is rising. 3. We were very late. Motorway. A. Of an accident on the 4. Everybody seemed to enjoy the barbecue even. The weather wasn't very good. 5. She wants to take 6 months unpaid leave. She can travel round the world. 6. When I was young, my family. Summer holiday at the seaside. Spend every. 7. This street looks different from when I was a child. Used to be a sweet shop on the didn't corner. 8. Will the person who left boarding pass at security please go back and collect it? 9. If we lived closer to another, we'd probably spend more time together. 10. Joe is quite reserved. He never talks about. B. Complete the sentences using the bold word. S. 1. I need to pick my mum up from the station. Got. 2. If we buy a dishwasher, it won't be necessary to do the washing up. Have. If we buy a dishwasher. 3. The last time I saw him was in 2010. Seen. 2010. 4. They managed to get here even though the traffic was heavy. Despite. They managed to get here. 5. It was snowing, so the train was cancelled. Due the train. 6. She wore dark glasses so that she wouldn't be recognized. So as. She wore dark glasses. 7. My aunt always used to bake biscuits for us. Was my aunt. For us. 8. If you learn a bit of the language, the local people really appreciate it. 1. The local people really appreciate it. 9. Jane sees Martha once a month. Each Jane and Martha. Once a month. Vocabulary. Complete the missing words. 1. He sometimes AC. Sarcastic, but he doesn't mean it. As quite. 2. They suddenly got married on holiday in Las Vegas. They're very SP. 3. She never asks for anyone's help. She's completely. Shay. Sue. 4. Alexa can always find a way of solving problems. She's very 5. My brother wasn't very driving test. In fact, he just laughed. 6. He was when I failed to be a musician, even as a boy. 7. She's always open and honest. She's just really street to work with. 8. On the surface he seems tough, but do. He's quite sensitive. B. Complete the idioms with one word. 1. My kids can be a real. We eat out, they're so fussy. In the neck when. 2. My grandmother has always had a quick. We were quite scared of her when we were young. 3. He can be a bit bad-tempered, but he's got a of gold. 4. My boss is very down to her about anything. Semicolon. You can talk to. 5. When you're doing your tax return, you have to follow the instructions to the 6. You've been here loads of times. How on did you get lost? 7. Don't worry about every little detail. Try to focus on the big. C. Circle the correct word or phrase. 1. She's been out of work for 3 days with the flu. 2. I won't get that job. I don't have the qualifications, benefits. 3. He resigned before they could sack him. 4. I'm hoping to get promoted, a rise to a more senior post. 5. I don't earn much, but it's a very rewarding, high-powered job. 6. Job searching, job hunting can be really demoralizing. 7. Factory work is often a bit monotonous, motivating. 8. The manager is in charge of 400 staff, workforce. 10. The children wrapped the present on their own. By The children wrapped the present. D. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the bold word. 1. I wish there were more good restaurants in our neighbor. 2. We have been able to build a new library thanks to the of the local community. Generous. 3. Please don't let this misunderstanding get in the way of our 4. The 5. Friend of his job affected him very badly. Lose of speech is a basic human right. 3. 6. The news of their engagement caused great excite. 7. My is getting worse as I get older. Remember. Can you understand this text? A. Read the article once and complete the headings. B. Read the article again and mark the sentences T. True. Or F. False. Dot. Correct the F sentences. 1. Babies can distinguish between different voices before they are born. 2. Newborn babies can recognize languages other than their own. 3. The first kinds of words a toddler learns are words describing colored objects. 4. Children watch adults carefully when trying to learn new words. 5. Until they are 2 years old, children can only name people or objects. 6. Small children all learn and say single words before they learn and say groups of words. 7. Children tend to learn regular verb forms before irregular ones. 8. Making mistakes is an effective way to learn language. 9. Children pick up grammar rules without being taught. Can you understand these people? 2.15 Watch or listen and choose A, B, or C. 1. Allison's brother is A. Older than her, B. Younger than her, C. The same age as her. 2. Roslyn has worked in A. 2, B. 3, C. 4 different fields. 3. Rabia had problems at her French-speaking school because a French wasn't spoken in the place where she was born. B. The teacher spoke a different dialect from the French she had learned. C. French wasn't her parents' first language. 4. Margaret has a problem spelling blank. A less common English words. Ball English words. C. A lot of French words. How children learn language. There are 5 things that every parent should know about how children learn language. 1. It begins E. Children don't even wait until they are born to start listening to language. Speech can be heard in the womb clearly enough to identify the basic rhythm and certain features of the speaker's voice. At birth, babies prefer their mother's voice to other female voices, the language of their parents over other languages, and they are able to recognize that an English sentence does not sound the same as a French sentence. 2. It happens F. Between age 2 and 6, children average 10 new words a day. By age 6, they have a vocabulary of about 14,000 words, and over the next few years, they learn as many as 20 new words per day. At the beginning, they rely on simple strategies. 1 is to assume that new words refer to objects, rather than to color or texture or activities. If a father points to a sheep and says sheep, his 18-month-old daughter assumes that sheep refers to the animal itself, not to the fact that it's white or woolly or munching on grass. Perhaps the most important strategy involves noticing subtle clues in the behavior of adults. For example, realizing that adults tend to look at the thing they are talking about makes it a lot easier to understand the meaning of what is said. 3. No 2 children are the S. Some children are initially better than others at identifying individual words and at pronouncing them clearly. By 18 months, they can name people, daddy, mummy, and objects, cat, car, and they use simple words like up, hot, and hungry to describe how they feel and what they want. Other children memorize and produce relatively large chunks of speech, even though they are often poorly articulated. What's that? What's that? Closing parenthesis. Dunno. I don't know. AW gone. It's all gone. And it's unlikely that children know what the component parts are. 4. Errors are G. Children make many mistakes when they learn language, such as goed for went or eated for ate. Mistakes mean that children are discovering the rules of English, Adding ed to a verb is the basic way to form the past tense in English. It may take several hundred exposures to the right past tense form of a verb before all the errors are eliminated. But mistakes are a normal part of the language acquisition process, and they disappear as a normal part of that same process. 5. It's W. You say. Children most need to hear language being used to talk about things they can see and feel, what they have just experienced or are about to experience. This provides the raw material they need to figure out what words mean, where a subject or a direct object fits into a sentence, how to ask a question, and all the other things that make up language. So, talk to children about what matters to them. They will take care of the rest. Abridged from an academic website. 25.